All right, let's talk about something that's been quietly slipping under the radar, but honestly, it shouldn't be. Because if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that the tone around renewable energy and net zero has changed. And not in a loud, headline-grabbing way. No, this shift is subtle, almost like it's happening behind closed doors. Not too long ago, we were told with absolute confidence that the future was green, that renewables were not just cleaner, but cheaper, and that everything would fall into place if we just committed to the plan. One of the biggest promises, that
but first, new reports today suggest that Labor has dropped references to its 82% renewables by 2030 target in a preliminary draft of its national policy plan that it will take to the next federal election in 2028. Labor sources have tried to downplay the omission, confirming the party remained committed to ambitious and achievable 2030 and 2035 targets. Let's bring in the panel now. Former Victorian Liberal Party President Michael Kroger and Menzies Research Centre Senior Fellow Nick Cater. Michael, are we finally starting to see cracks in Labor's net zero agenda?
Well, we certainly are, and it's a very important story in the Australian newspaper. You see, what happened at the beginning of the net zero transition argument was the left were winning the debate because people were sold on this idea, Rita, that renewables were...
Before we continue, do us a little favour by subscribing to the channel, because over 98% of you watching haven't subscribed. It costs you nothing, not even a penny, to join this channel. Have you subscribed? Thanks so much.
But now, that same target is suddenly missing. Not loudly scrapped, not officially abandoned, just quietly removed from a draft policy, like it was never that important to begin with. And let's be real here, that's not a small detail. You don't just forget a cornerstone policy like that. When something that big disappears, it tells you one thing. Something isn't working the way it was supposed to. Now, of course, the official line is that nothing has changed. We're told the commitment is still there, the ambition is still alive, and everything is still on track. But come on, if that were true, why remove it at all? If you truly believe in a target, you double down on it. You don't quietly sidestep it. And this is where things start to get interesting, because what we're seeing right now isn't just a policy adjustment, it's reality catching up with promises.
The argument was the left were winning the debate because people were sold on this idea, Rita, that renewables were reliable and, most importantly, they were the cheapest form of energy. As time has gone on, the lived experience of people is these renewables are unreliable, they are extremely expensive, and we were lied to. And people's experience is not what they were told. You know, Bowen said to everyone, prices will be cheaper by $275. He said that at the 22 election. And that was their symbolism to say to people, here's the evidence they'll be cheaper. Well, that promise went and gone, and people now don't believe they're the cheapest form of energy whatsoever. And you can see Labor now crab walking away from the target because it can't be met. Renewables are too expensive, and that's the lived experience of people.
Nick, were the left winning the net zero argument, though, because the right was refusing to fight it? We saw the coalition embrace net zero, and now they have walked away from that, and there is some debate. We are seeing people change their mind.
Think back to when this whole net zero push really gained momentum. The messaging was crystal clear. Renewables would be reliable, they would be affordable, and they would ultimately save households money. That was the pitch. That was the selling point. But fast forward to today, and people are looking at their electricity bills wondering, where are those savings? Because for many households, it hasn't gotten cheaper. If anything, it feels more expensive. And once people start feeling that difference in their wallets, the narrative begins to crack. You can talk theory all day, but lived experience, that's what really shapes opinion. And that's exactly what's happening now. People aren't just listening to promises anymore, they're comparing them to reality. And when those two don't line up, trust starts to erode.
Let's be honest, the idea that renewables would instantly become the cheapest form of energy was always a bit optimistic. Not impossible, but definitely more complicated than it was made out to be. Because what often gets left out of the conversation is the cost of everything around it. The infrastructure, the storage, the backup systems needed when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing. Those aren't small costs, they're massive, and they add up quickly. So now, as we edge closer to that 2030 deadline, there's this growing realisation that maybe, just maybe, that 82% target was never as achievable as it sounded. And instead of openly admitting that, we're seeing a slow, careful retreat. And honestly, that's where the frustration comes in, because people can handle the truth, even if it's not perfect. What they don't like is feeling like they were sold something that doesn't match reality. And this isn't just about energy anymore, it's bigger than that. It's about trust in leadership, in policy, in long-term planning. There's also a deeper issue bubbling underneath all of this, the question of priorities. While billions are being poured into ambitious green projects, there are growing concerns about basic preparedness, fuel reserves, energy security, national resilience. These are not small issues, and right now they're starting to feel like they've taken a back seat. And that's a risky move, because a country can't just rely on ideals, it needs stability. It needs backup plans. It needs systems that work not just in theory, but in real-world conditions. What makes this situation even more fascinating is how the political landscape is shifting around it. Positions that once seemed locked in are now being challenged. Debates that were once one-sided are opening up again, and voices that were previously dismissed are starting to gain traction. Why? Because people are reassessing. They're looking at outcomes, not just intentions. And here's the thing, this doesn't mean the idea of cleaner energy is wrong, not at all. The goal of reducing emissions and building a sustainable future is something most people can agree on. The issue isn't the destination, it's the way we were told we'd get there. There's a growing sense that the path was oversimplified, that the trade-offs weren't fully explained, and that timeline might have been more about political appeal than practical reality. And now, as those gaps become more visible, the conversation is changing. You can see it in the way policies are being adjusted, in the way language is being softened, in the way certain promises are quietly fading into the background. It's not a dramatic collapse, it's more like a slow unravelling.
But make no mistake, it matters. Because once public confidence starts to slip, it's very hard to rebuild. And right now, that confidence is being tested. So where does this go from here? That's the big question. Do leaders come forward and reset expectations? Do they acknowledge the challenges and present a more grounded, realistic plan? Or do they continue with the same messaging, hoping people won't notice the inconsistencies? Because people are noticing. And the more they notice, the more they start asking questions. Tough questions. Necessary questions. At the end of the day, this isn't just a policy debate. It's about accountability. It's about whether the promises made to the public actually hold up when tested against reality. And right now, it feels like we're in that testing phase. So I want to hear from you. Do you think this is just a temporary adjustment? Or are we witnessing a bigger shift in how these policies are viewed? Were the expectations too high from the start? Or has something gone seriously off track? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those conversations that affects everyone, whether you realise it or not. And if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around, because we're going to keep digging into stories like this, the ones that don't always get the full spotlight, but absolutely deserve it.